नमस्कार, कार्यक्रम संकल्पमा यहाँहरूलाई हार्दिक स्वागत छ। म कल्पना भण्डारी। भूकम्प गएको 1 वर्ष बितिसकेको छ, तर प्रकम्प जाने क्रम भने अझै रोकिएको छैन। नेपालमा खानी तथा भूगर्भ विभाग अन्तर्गत रहेको राष्ट्रिय भूकम्प मापन केन्द्रले भूकम्प सम्बन्धी मापन गर्ने गर्छ, सूचना सङ्कलन र वितरण गर्ने गर्छ। नेपालमा भूकम्प मापन गर्ने अन्य संयन्त्रहरू के छन्? त्यसलाई सामुदायिक स्तरमा विस्तार गर्न सकिन्छ कि सकिँदैन? अहिलेको अवस्था के छ? र भूकम्प सम्बन्धी सूचना सङ्कलन, वितरण र प्रशोधन गर्ने यी संयन्त्रहरूको उपादेयता के छ? आजको कार्यक्रम सङ्कल्प यिनै विषयमा केन्द्रित छ। अमेरिकी भौगोलिक सर्वेक्षण USGSले विश्वभरका भूकम्पको मापन, सर्वेक्षण र सूचना वितरण गर्ने गर्दछ। यसले नेपालको भूकम्पको बारेमा पनि मापन गर्दै आइरहेको छ र सूचना वितरण गरिरहेको छ। पछिल्लो समय गोर्खा भूकम्पपछि भने यसको चासो निकै बढेको छ। USGSले नेपालको खानी तथा भूगर्भ विभाग र भूकम्प प्रविधि राष्ट्रिय समाज नेपालसँगको सहकार्यमा विभिन्न ठाउँमा भूकम्प सम्बन्धी मापन गर्ने कार्यलाई विस्तार गरिरहेको छ। भूकम्प सम्बन्धी सूचना दिने संयन्त्र कस्तो छ त? यसलाई सामुदायिक स्तरमा समुदायले नै प्रयोग गर्न सक्ने कसरी बनाउन सकिन्छ? यो संयन्त्रको उपयोगिता कस्तो छ? सबैभन्दा पहिले हामी एउटा रिपोर्ट प्रस्तुत गर्छौं। भौगर्भिक गडबडीका कारण आउने पृथ्वीको कम्पनलाई भूकम्प भनिन्छ। नेपालमा दैनिक रूपमा सानातिना भूकम्प गइरहन्छन्। हिमालय क्षेत्रमा सानातिना भूकम्प गइरहनु प्राकृतिक नियम हो। नेपालमा पछिल्लो समय 2072 साल वैशाख 12 र 29 गते भूकम्प गएपछि त्यसको प्रकम्प जाने क्रम अझै रोकिएको छैन। यी दुई ठूला भूकम्पपछि नेपालको भौगर्भिक अवस्थाका बारेमा विश्वभर चासो र सरोकार बढिरहेको छ। यसै सन्दर्भमा अमेरिकी भौगर्भिक सर्वे USGS र भूकम्प प्रविधि राष्ट्रिय समाज नेपाल एनसेटले नेपालको भूकम्पीय मापनको अध्ययन गरिरहेका छन्। भूकम्प मापनका लागि विभिन्न प्रविधि जडान गर्न यी दुई संस्थाबीच सहकार्य भइरहेको छ। भूकम्प मापन गर्ने यन्त्र QCN का साथै USGSले विभिन्न ठाउँको कम्पन नक्सा सेक म्याप बनाए जस्तै त्यस्तो सेक म्याप नेपालकै जनशक्तिले तयार गर्न सक्षम बनाउन क्षमता अभिवृद्धि तालिम भइरहेको छ।
USGS र एनसेट बीचमा जुन अहिले सहकार्य भनेको यो भूकम्प गइसकेपछिको जुन कम्पन मापनको लागि विभिन्न ठाउँमा एक्सेलेरोमिटर्सहरू राख्ने भन्ने काममा चाहिँ अगाडि बढेको छ। एउटा नेटवर्क, एक्सेलेरोमिटरको नेटवर्कको परिकल्पना गरिएको छ, जुन चाहिँ एनसेक भन्छौँ। यो एनसेकलाई सञ्चालन गर्नको लागि या अब भनौँ यो नेटवर्क सञ्चालन गर्नको लागि क्यापेसिटी बिल्डिङ गर्नुपर्छ। क्यापेसिटी बिल्डिङ भनेको यो सञ्चालन हामी आफैले USGSले सधैँ गरिदिराख्ने कुरा हुँदैन, त्यो हामी आफैले गर्नुपर्छ। त्यसको लागि चाहिँ क्यापेसिटी बिल्डिङ गर्नेमा ट्रेनिङ्सहरू सञ्चालन गर्ने, यो नेटवर्कै कसरी सञ्चालन गर्ने र नेटवर्कको डेटालाई कसरी हामीले एनालाइसिस गर्ने भन्ने कुराहरूमा चाहिँ अहिले एनसेट र USGSको सहकार्य भइरहेछ।
भूकम्प मापन सम्बन्धी यन्त्रलाई एक्सेलेरोमिटर भनिन्छ। यसले जमिनको कम्पनको अवस्थाका साथै क्षतिको अवस्थिति पनि बताउँछ। QCN यस्तै एउटा एक्सेलेरोमिटर हो। यस्तो यन्त्र जडान गर्न सकिए कम्पनको सूचना सङ्कलनलाई बृहत बनाउन सकिन्छ। हालसम्म 16 वटा QCN जडान गरिसकिएको छ। पछिल्लो पटक दोलखा जिल्लामा QCN जडान कार्य सम्पन्न भएको छ। साथै काठमाडौँ उपत्यकाका अग्ला भवनहरूको कम्पन जाँच गर्ने उपकरण समेत जडान गरिएको छ। QCN सामुदायिक स्तरमा जडान गर्न सकिने सरल र सस्तो प्रविधि हो।
QCN भनेर क्वेक क्याचर नेटवर्क भन्छ, सानो मेम्स हुन्। त्यो $40 किन्न पाइन्छ, यो पाइरहेछ। र त्यसलाई अब भनौँ त्यो मात्र भएर हुँदैन, त्यसमा चाहिँ एउटा भनौँ कम्प्युटर र अर्को एउटा भनौँ ब्याकअपहरू चाहिन्छ। त्यस सबै सिस्टम्सहरू गर्दाखेरि हामीले भनौँ न सस्तोमा 30,000 सम्ममा यो सेटअपै बनाउन सक्छौँ। र हामीले अर्को चाहिँ के हो, योभन्दा अझ सस्तो सेटअपतिर जानुपर्छ। कम्प्युटरको पनि अर्को रूप भनेर हामी रास्पबेरी पाई हो, जुन चाहिँ एकदम सानो कम्प्युटर हो। यो किन्नै पर्दाखेरि यो अब नेपाली पैसामा 7-8 हजार मात्र लाग्छ नेपाली रुपियाँमा। त्यसको र क्युसिएन फेरि अर्को भनौँ $40 भनेको कति 4,000 भयो हैन। यो दुईटाको कम्बिनेसनबाट हामीले भनौँ न 20,000 पनि नलाग्ने गरेर 10,000 को रेन्जमा चाहिँ हामीले ठाउँ-ठाउँमा यो राख्न सक्ने चाहिँ देखिन्छ।
भूकम्पीय मापन सम्बन्धी यन्त्र क्युसिएन नेपालका विभिन्न नगरपालिकामा जडान गर्ने एनसेटको योजना छ। यसले भूकम्पीय मापन अध्ययनलाई अझ व्यवस्थित र विस्तृत बनाउन मद्दत पुग्नेछ।
एनसेटले अहिले भवन निर्माण संहिता कार्यान्वयन कार्यक्रम जुन गरिरहेछ त्यो जुन नगरपालिकाहरूमा गरिरहेछौँ ती नगरपालिकाहरूमा चाहिँ हरेक नगरपालिकामा एउटा चाहिँ हामीले पुर्याउने मतलब एटलिस्ट 30 वटा नगरपालिकामा यो राख्ने अहिले निकै चाँडै नै भनौँ न 6 महिना अन्तर्गतै त्यो गर्ने र त्यसपछि अब त्यसमा राखिसकेपछि चाहिँ हामी अब अर्को फेरि बलियो घर भन्ने कार्यक्रम गरिरहेछौँ। त्यसको जिल्लाहरूमा पहुँच छ त्यहाँ राख्ने जहाँ हामीले काम गरिरहेछौँ सुरुमा त्यहाँ गर्छौँ र पछि चाहिँ हरेक कम्युनिटीमा पुर्याउने चाहिँ हाम्रो लक्ष्य हो।
बाक्लो बस्ती भएका शहरी क्षेत्रमा कम्पनको अवधि र क्षमताले क्षतिको अवस्था पत्ता लगाउन सकिन्छ। तसर्थ यस्तो यन्त्र हरेक ठाउँमा पुर्याउन सकिए भूकम्पीय मापनको अध्ययनलाई अझ व्यवस्थित र विस्तृत बनाउन सकिन्छ।
साउजी एउटा शिक्षक पत्रिका दिनुस् न। साउजी मलाई एउटा शिक्षक। साउजी मलाई एउटा शिक्षक। मलाई एउटा शिक्षक। साउजी मलाई एउटा शिक्षक एउटा।
यो शिक्षक पत्रिका त शिक्षकले मात्र हैन हामीले पनि पढ्न मिल्ने रहेछ।
पढ्ने पढाउने पढ्न पठाउने सबैले पढ्न मिल्छ।
उसमा मलाई पुरानो अङ्कहरु मिलाइदिनुस् न साउजी।
ग्राहक बन्नुस् न नछुटाइ पाउनुहुन्छ।
शिक्षक
सिक्ने सिकाउने र सिक्न पठाउनेहरूको साथी शिक्षक मासिक।
आकाश छुने सबको रहर मेहनत र विश्वासले हुन्छ सफल। घडी आउँछ सबको एक दिन खुसी छाउँछ पक्कै एक दिन।
निर्माण सानो होस् या ठुलो चाहिन्छ निर्माण सिमेन्ट विश्वासको बेजोड विकल्प।
भर्खरै हामीले एउटा रिपोर्ट प्रस्तुत गर्यौं। USGS को तर्फबाट नेपालमा भूगर्भ अनुसन्धानकर्ताहरू आएर नेपालको भूकम्प सम्बन्धी अध्ययन अनुसन्धान गरिरहेका छन्, सूचना सङ्कलन गरिरहेका छन्। यसै क्रममा पछिल्लो समय आउनुभएका 2 जना भूगर्भ अनुसन्धानकर्तालाई हामीले स्टुडियोमा आमन्त्रण गरेका छौं। हामीसँग हुनुहुन्छ डाक्टर सुसन हफ र डाक्टर डेनियल मैक्नमारा। सबैभन्दा पहिले म उहाँहरूलाई कार्यक्रममा स्वागत गर्छु। Dr. Susan and Dr. Daniel, welcome to our program.
Thank you.
First of all, I will go to Susan. You are here as a researcher of earthquake in Nepal and you are doing various research in earthquake of Nepal. How do you describe earthquake hazard in Nepal?
In Nepal, you're sitting along what we call the Himalayan plate boundary. So I think people have probably heard this before, that the Indian subcontinent is continuing to move into Eurasia. It's pushing the mountains up, it's pushing Tibet out of the way, and that's an active plate boundary zone. It's an active earthquake zone. And so, like California, where I live, it's one of the zones in the world where we know earthquake hazard is high. Mm-hmm. And so we're working to understand the details.
How long have you been involved in earthquake hazard study in Nepal and the region?
Yeah, I started working in the region in 2001 after the Gujarat earthquake, and then extended that to earthquakes in Nepal. Mm-hmm. My first visit here was 2003. Mm-hmm. And I started working with NSET, the National Society for Earthquake Technology, in 2009.
How do you describe the earthquake, this earthquake in Nepal and Gujarat earthquake?
So, that's an interesting question. They were actually similar magnitude. In Gujarat was a 7.6, this was a 7.8. Gujarat actually had a higher death toll than this earthquake, even though Gorkha was somewhat bigger. And they were different. The Gujarat earthquake happened in a part of India where earthquakes are not quite as common as they are here. And it had a heavy impact locally on some densely populated villages. So that's one difference. Where the shaking was strongest in this earthquake was not so heavily populated, whereas the Gujarat earthquake, it was more densely populated.
So I'll come back to you again.
Okay.
May I go through Daniel? So Daniel McNamara, USGS is doing research in Nepal about earthquake.
Yes.
So how it is collaborating with Nepal government?
And we monitor earthquakes globally. We run a global network. At the time, there were no stations operating in Nepal when the Gorkha earthquake happened. There was a station operating, but it was not providing data in real time. So part of our goal in coming here was to fix that station, recover the data, and also attempt to install additional stations to help improve the location accuracy in Nepal. We're also working with the Department of Mines and Geology, National Seismic Center, obtaining some of their data and working on advanced methods to improve the locations of the earthquakes. And then that helps us define the fault better and do other products such as earthquake hazard modeling for long-term rebuilding and construction, things like that.
How do you monitor earthquake seismic activity?
Well, we have a global network of sensors that are very sensitive, so we can record earthquakes from far away, and we use those to triangulate a location of the earthquake. And so the nearest station would be in Tibet and Pakistan, and very far away at this point, but we can still use them to locate with an uncertainty of maybe 10 to 20 kilometers. And so then we try to add local stations afterwards, operated by the government and also by the USGS, to then improve the location.
When have USGS started doing survey about earthquakes in Nepal?
Well, Sue might be able to answer that better.
Well, there is the global network that monitors earthquakes around the world, but it doesn't have, we really need to have the local information to understand what happens during an earthquake and to understand the faults. And so I started working with NSET to install these additional instruments. In 2013, we started a pilot project to install a small number of instruments. And since the earthquake happened, we're working further on that to install more instrumentation.
Through your research and other data, how Nepal government or Nepali people can be benefited from your report?
Well, we try to determine improved locations and ground motion, and we use that for long-term hazard studies that can be used for improving building codes, for example, in the reconstruction efforts.
Do the USGS have separate accelerometer that records earthquakes in Nepal?
Yes, we have two operating right now, one at NSET and one at the American Club. But we're also installing additional sensors that are part of a QCN network that are installed in people's homes. And those we use them for research studies, but eventually we'll work on getting those into the National Earthquake Information Center so we can use them to locate earthquakes in what we call real time, which is close to shortly after the earthquake happens.
Could I jump in?
Yeah.
Because so the USGS has the global network and the capabilities, but one of the things we really want to do here is develop the local capabilities. So there is the local network. When we want to support that so they have better information and better tools, because they are going to be the authoritative reporting agency. We don't want people in Nepal to look to the USGS for information about Nepal. We want the agencies here to improve their capabilities. And so these instruments that we're providing, and we're providing the training so they can start to make the products, what we call a shake map, that will, if an earthquake happens, see how the shaking is different in different areas. And we know in Gorkha, some parts of Kathmandu, the shaking and damage were stronger. And so if they can make those maps locally, for example, that contributes to earthquake response. But also it feeds into the building code process that Dan talked about. But it's important for the community of earthquake professionals here to be supported so that they can develop.
I have noted one thing during the Gorkha event earthquake, that in Nepal's Department of Mines and Geology has said that it's 7.3, but USGS has said that it's 7.8. So how does it differ?
There are many different magnitude scales, and the local magnitude may be smaller than the magnitude determined by the USGS just because of the way it's measured. The magnitude that's 7.8 is what's called a moment magnitude, and that takes into account the dimensions of the fault. The initial magnitude by the DMG may have been just measured off of a P wave, the first arriving wave, and those numbers can be different. They represent different ways of measuring the magnitude. It's very confusing, I know, but the moment magnitude 7.8 is a more accurate representation of the size of the earthquake.
Okay. During your presentation in Nepal, you have been frequently using the term that QCNs and NSEC network. What does that term mean?
NSHAKE is a network we're developing with NSET that Sue discussed for local capacity building, and it will be used for ground motion studies. We've also used it for research purposes to improve the location of larger aftershocks and the original main shock. So the QCN is called the Quake Catcher Network. It's an international network of sensors that people have in their homes all over the world, and we're using that as a paradigm here in Nepal also.
So QCN was an existing system that is designed to take data from anywhere in the world and bring it into a central server so it can be used and processed. And under that umbrella, people develop local networks. So NSHAKE is under a QCN
So that's
umbrella.
for community purpose?
So it is a community-based monitoring network where NSET is planning to work with the municipalities, potentially with the schools. You can install these sensors. So QCN is the umbrella, and within that we develop NSHAKE is the name of the local network here in Nepal.
Even we can say that earthquake will happen. That's true. Yeah, that's the fact.
They are inevitable.
But we don't know when it can happen.
Exactly, and it's the same situation in California where I live. Everyone is worried about the big one, like 1906, but we just don't know when.
Can we conclude the same will happen, that next big earthquake will happen in Nepal, like a Gorkha earthquake?
It won't be. No two earthquakes are exactly alike, and there's different possibilities. You have the plate boundary extends along the Himalayan arc, and we know that there have been historic earthquakes in 1934, in 1505, and so the next earthquake will be different. It could be to the west, it could be to the east, it could be to the south. So there's one big fault and a small piece of it broke.
What is the most probability?
That's I don't think we can say. I mean, people want to say, oh, to the west we haven't had a big earthquake since 1505, which is a long time. But there's some evidence that those earthquakes only happen every 1,000 years. So maybe it's 500 years until the next one.
You have said that in your social sites. I found that Gorkha event an expected earthquake with unexpected consequences. How do you elaborate it?
Yeah, no, and when we heard, the international community heard that an earthquake close to magnitude 8 struck in that location, the international community thought it was would be a much bigger humanitarian disaster, and 9,000 people lost their lives, and that was obviously a great tragedy for Nepal, but it was not the scale of a disaster. And flying into Kathmandu, we arrived in May of last year, and to see the city with so little damage was stunning, and to drive around in so many parts of town, you might not know an earthquake had happened. And so it was a very happy surprise, but the community has been working to understand why the shaking and the damage wasn't even worse.
Why it happened, so little shaking and so little damage? But the magnitude is very high, isn't it? But shaking is low and damage is low. How does it happen?
So we're trying to understand that, and we think we have some answers. There's 3 answers that people talk about. One is that the fault is moving. It may have moved relatively gradually. So, and people here, they felt shaking that went back and forth like this. You can see it on the videos, and it took about 5 seconds. So it was very scary, but there was not a lot of shaking like this that would have been damaging to the buildings here. So that may have, it's the energy like this, maybe it was not released as much by the earthquake because it moved more gradually. That's one That's one explanation. It also, we've learned that Kathmandu, well, we know that Kathmandu was a former lake bed, and so we have sediments, and we'd worried that that would amplify shaking. And in fact, in the very big earthquake, the sediments actually absorbed some of the shaking. And if you think about a big box of sand, if you try to shake it very hard, the sand grains will shift and they actually absorb some of the energy. So that helped protect central Kathmandu, and it explains why there was somewhat higher damage away from the central valley where the sediments are deepest, because there was some absorption of energy. And then as you get to the foothills, there was less absorption, and I think you have somewhat higher damage in neighborhoods like Machapokuri, Sanku. So that's part of the story. But it's complicated, and scientists here and internationally are still working on the data.
Okay. Dr. Daniel, during your research in Nepal, what's the most important and remarkable thing you discovered?
Mostly I've been working on locating the earthquakes very precisely, and so the main rupture, the main shock rupture occurred, and all of the aftershocks ring around that rupture patch and underneath. And so that's been very interesting to see where the aftershocks occur relative to the main shock.
When the Gorkha earthquake happened, the fault that moved is very big. So the aftershocks, as Dan said, they largely encircle the fault patch that moved, but that's a very big zone. So when the Dolakha event happened on May 12th, it was some distance, so people were surprised. In some cases we say that's an aftershock, but because the fault was so big and the aftershock is at the edge, that fits with our understanding. But locating one point is that hazard from aftershocks can be distributed. If you have the main shock that starts here, you can have a large aftershock 150 kilometers away that damages this area. And so it's important to understand those details.
After a big earthquake, for how long the aftershock happens? Can we predict this also?
We can make some calculations, and people have done that. It will continue for probably decades. But the number decays very strongly. So people here, you feel fewer and fewer aftershocks. If you look at the National Seismic Center, they still record many, many small aftershocks. And it's still possible to have a larger aftershock. So the number goes down, but it's still, maybe a year from now you could still have a magnitude 5 or even a 6, as long as the sequence continues.
You are as a researcher, seismologist from USGS. How will you contribute Nepal to make it safer, make more preparedness?
I think the biggest thing we can do is improve capacity here, help install sensors and provide software for hazard modeling, and then just, again, increase the capacity for organizations like NSET and the DMG.
And Dr. Susan, what can be your commitment to make the Nepal more safer to live?
Yeah, no, I would echo everything that Dan just said. There are organizations that were working very hard here on hazard assessment and risk reduction. And it's actually, in some ways, it's an opportunity now that the earthquake happened. Now it's focused attention, it's given the government and the world community a stronger commitment, because we can see what happened, we can see what's at stake. So it's actually an opportunity to move programs forward, and in that sense it's kind of exciting that we have a chance to really develop some real capabilities here, so Nepal will be better prepared for future earthquakes.
Dr. Susan and Dr. Daniel, thank you so much for your valuable time and sharing knowledge with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
दर्शकवृन्द, आज हामीले कार्यक्रममा भूकम्प सम्बन्धी मापन र त्यसको सूचना सङ्कलनका विषयमा केन्द्रित रहेर प्रविधिका विषयमा केन्द्रित रहेर कुराकानी गर्यौं। कार्यक्रमको विषयमा सल्लाह सुझाव प्रतिक्रिया दिन भने नभुल्नुहोला। हामी अर्को साता फेरि उपस्थित हुनेछौं। आजको कार्यक्रमबाट सम्पूर्ण युनिट सहित मलाई पनि बिदा दिनुहोस्। नमस्कार।